We're back. Another episode of the
Been a while.
Inalienable Right, guys. We hold these truths to be self-evident that all men are created equal with certain inalienable rights and that they're endowed by
The thing.
the thing.
Oh yeah, the thing.
The thing. We dub this one council culture, and it returns with a vengeance. And Mark and I, we sitting and thinking about these matters and wondering just when, speaking for myself even, when I thought about Uncle Ben getting a makeover, an upgrade, Aunt your mama getting an upgrade. I don't know if you remember the boxes back even 40, 50 years ago. They were still beautiful black people, but they looked the role of the slave master or the slave cook, and they looked at role, and I guess over a period of time they was getting upgrades. And now they look like, to me, they look like successful, on their way to success, black folks on these images, on these products. They look well. They look dignified. And all of a sudden, here we come with this onslaught. Oh, we got to erase the history of that Democrat Party put on display. The history, and it's got to be a grand scheme to this. It's got to be a grand scheme.
Yeah.
Because at this moment, trying to counsel any image, whether it be successful image of a black face on products, is just ludicrous to me, and it's insane. And Mark and I, we decided we want to talk a little about it, so I'm gonna hand it over to Mark.
All right, so it's been a little while since some of this stuff came out. We were going to do a video about it earlier, and so much other stuff's going on, the election and all that. But I found it interesting that I had bought some Aunt Jemima syrup, had it at the house, and I was in the kitchen, and my daughter comes in the kitchen and opens the pantry or whatever, and she of course heard some of the controversy about these things, these products, and so she said to me, she says, "What's the big deal?" And so I proceeded to tell her that this cancel culture, they've come along and taken so many of these things. Land O'Lakes butter. They took the Indian made off of Land O'Lakes butter. They were talking about taking, Aunt Jemima off of the bottles, Uncle Ben, the chef on cream of wheat. So many of these things. And so I explained, that that's what was going on and all this. And she says, "Well, ain't that a good thing?" meaning, ain't it a good thing that we have different people represented on these products? Not just one group of people. That's what she meant by what she said. And I was like, exactly. That's brilliant. That's exactly what I'm talking about. That's exactly what we're talking about. Is why are we canceling these people? Now, like he said, I understand the original image maybe of Aunt Jemima. And if you look at like Mrs. Butterworth's, the bottle's still that same shape, that's been forever. But kind of along that same line. I get that part of it. But this goes all the way. I know you're a big NFL fan or have been in the past. It's the same thing with the Washington Redskins.
Right.
That was created by a Native American guy, and him and his people were proud of that. That this image that he created is on, the nation's capital.
Yeah, on full display.
On full display.
Mm-hmm.
Why are we canceling these things?
Well,
it should be. My wife and I went through yesterday. We happened to go to the store, at the grocery store. And I made it a point, because I knew we were probably going to talk about this. I made it a point just to kind of look at different things. Now, there's like 2 or 3 barbecue sauces. Stubbs is one. There's a new one that's sugar-free. Okay. That is really good. I just bought a couple bottles here not too long ago, and I think it's R.L. Hughes or something like Hughes is the last name. But his image is on there. Stubbs' image is on there. If you look at Earl Campbell, he's got pictures of him on his products. But we went through and looked at different things, like went through all the baby aisle. I know Gerber has their image, their baby that's been on there forever. Right. But some of these others, kind of trying to see, if there were, as the left like to call them, people of color on some of these other products. Mm-hmm. And found a few. But that was kind of the thing, like my daughter said, it's like, why wouldn't you want more of that? I mean, if we want to have a diverse culture and we want to talk about diversity and all this, why are we canceling these people?
And notice that comes from a child. She can see the brilliance of the races being one instead of divided. Exactly. And I think of, speaking of Aunt Jemima, I think of a movie that came out in the 40s. It was called The Imitation of Life. And it's a dual one come later on in the 60s. But the 40 version of it came out. It goes something. It's a black lady that cooked for a well-to-do white family, and she, I don't know how she ended up with a mixed race child, but the mixed race child just found it repulsive that was her mother, and she went through school portraying herself as a white. And when they found out later, she caught a lot of heck. But anyway, this maid that worked for them, she was a great cook, and she would make the best pancakes, and the lady would finally say, these are the greatest pancakes, and since one of her wealthy friends came over and ate pancakes, and they wanted to market it. So eventually, by them marketing it, and the lady's image was put on the bag like Aunt Jemima, and the pancakes were great, and they were delicious, and they was a cut above the rest, and they made millions, and she in turn became wealthy. And so, what are the cancel culture people, the cancel culture vultures, what do they think they're doing by seemingly thinking they're helping someone when they pull in the wealth or pulling the rug under their opportunities to prosper in this country and to prosper in America? And as a result, when you start taking off these images, that old saying that if you forget history, your destiny repeat it. I think that's their motive, is to not allow history to be recorded in its purest form, and that's why they try to rewrite history. And this ordeal about tearing down statues and tearing down images, and it was one, I think, in Washington D.C. it may be in Philadelphia, where Abraham Lincoln statue, and there was this black man kneeling by him, and they let them tell the story, their history. It's like he was worshiping Abraham Lincoln, when in actuality he was there as a friend and as a representative of the black man's freedoms. So right. We lose our culture, we lose our ability to press on into the future when we tear down these landmarks. Right.
And what you were talking about, like the image of Aunt Jemima was shaped after that one lady, and I think her last name was Green, wasn't it? Something like
yes,
that.
Uh-huh.
And she was what, the first black millionaire in America?
I don't know,
something
but
like that. I mean, they said she was
wealthy. I know
very wealthy.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that is as much a part of our history, American history, as anything anybody else did, and that kind of stuff, that should be lauded and applauded, and that kind of history taught, about these things. How much of this history of certain people have been torn down? Justice Clarence Thomas,
right?
Another one. They don't want to tell his history because he's not part of their narrative, the narrative that they, we're always talking about the narrative that they want to push, because he doesn't toe their line, and so, they want to push guys like that. Ben Carson, he's another example of somebody that, should be celebrated, because
story to tell.
Exactly. Because he can't, he tells the story where he could have went to jail at one point, You know, he stabbed somebody. You know, tried to stab somebody, and just happened not. You know, that it didn't work out. And he said, but if that had happened, I probably would have been in jail. I would have been, you know, in prison system, and then who knows where I would have been after that.
Exactly. See, Mark, liberalism is a cancer.
It is.
It really is. Everything that touches it corrodes. You know, I remember, speaking of Ben Carson, he had a movie made after him called The Gifted Hands, and one of the rappers, Mos Def, he played him. Back then, just as a fearless president is, they was lauded by the black community.
Right.
It was looked up to. Ben Carson was one of our icons.
Yes.
The minute the liberals decided to destroy him, so and again, I don't mean to bring in Bill Cosby as he was some that he wasn't guilty for whatever he'd been charged with or whatever he found guilty with. But I remember an incident when they started to tie into the liberals started to tie into Bill Cosby, if he was at some university telling young black men to get a job, get up early, pull their pants up, and face America as young men instead of as victims. Soon after that, the dam busted.
Right.
And that council culture came after that man and with a vengeance.
Yep.
And that's, you know, sort of like the game they play or the trickery they play. And they want to erase history, and they want to wash any accomplishments, or if it ain't on their side. And it's funny we come up with this subject matter because I've been watching some of them, you know, like Jesse Owens' story and Jackie Robinson. And these guys, you know, was first people or innovators to break open the color barrier. And the minute these guys, and these mind you, these guys did it with sheer talent, sheer raw courage, and just God-given talent. The minute they got up on it, here comes the politics and the NAACP to co-opt them. Said, we need you. So some politician has sick them on these guys. We need you to stand for this and not for that. Instead of allowing these guys to use that same grit to incorporate America as one.
Yeah.
They needed him to be on the side of the political spectrum. Otherwise, they wouldn't recognize him.
Right.
That's council culture.
Yeah. Because these people, it doesn't matter what color. I mean, my daughter can see that, you know, Aunt Jemima and these others should be looked up to, especially, you know, because after that I told the story, you know, about, you know, Mrs. Green and how she became rich, you know, famous and rich. And it's like, you know, she can see that that's somebody to look up to. Somebody that did something great, you know. Mm-hmm. Why do we want to cancel that? I don't get it.
And why do America, a portion of America, falls for it like it's, you know, it's one of the oldest tricks in the books, and they continue to fall for it when they try to hide or to cover up the history of America. And I'm like you. It befuddles us, but it does happen, and it's happening with this social justice warriors, these SJWs and the likes, and I look at, you know, I don't want to tie into another subject, but there's some of these millionaire athletes and all that just bent on not opening their eyes to see that we have a rich history, and that these things should be on every shelves in the grocery stores, just as any one of us, black, white. You know, remember with the Goya stuff, when they found out that the CEO of that guy supported Trump, what they try to do? They try to destroy him, remove anything of Latino consent, but they supposed to be for the minority.
Right. Doesn't make any sense.
No, it don't.
It doesn't make any sense. You know, I don't get that at all. It's cancel culture. I don't get it at all. It's just it's antithetical to the exact unity and stuff that, you know, that. And now they want to talk. You know, now how things are going now. Now they want to tell us we gotta have unity with them.
Right. You know.
We may go off on another rabbit hole here, but you know.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Now we need to be unified. Wait a minute. You've been canceling us, and everybody,
Spent 4 years
For
tearing
4 years.
down cities and burning up
Yeah.
buildings.
And now you want to be unified.
pillaging and robbing. And y'all the good guy. I remember when Sarah Palin came out when she was running with McCain, and she made a comment about targeting certain areas for votes, and she put a bullseye. And she said, and the mainstream media come out to them. She used the word bullseye. She talking violent. And I'm saying they sure can twist something, and they actually doing it. They're projecting it, and the violence and the likes.
They putting bullseyes on us.
Right. You sure know what to say.
Oh man. Anyway, that's one of the things we want to talk about. Something we've been meaning to come up and talk about, but that happened a couple of weeks ago with my daughter talking about it, and I wanted to kind of bring that subject up because I just feel like these people that want this diversity, at the same time they turn around and want to cancel all this stuff, and they end up canceling each other. I don't see how many different ones out there that they want to that they champions of their side of things, but all of a sudden they don't say one thing right or do one thing right, and they're being canceled. And I just that whole thing just is ridiculous to me. So.
And it makes me wonder. Say for instance, they erased the images off of these boxes. I heard they coming for Famous Amos and Cocoa Puff and Count Chocolate and all these all these dark images. But I guess what puzzles me, how the corporate, say Uncle Ben's corporation is, how would they allow that? Did they fold too under pressure?
I don't know.
If it was my image and
why
my,
would you do that?
I wouldn't let them come for me like that if I'm successful in America.
Right.
The guy that had BET, he sold it, and then you see what they done to that. They done turned it into a political arm of the Democrat Party. Mm-hmm. But he was an intelligent, genius man, and he's still, successful, and he wouldn't allow them to just do anything to him.
Right.
But he, when he sold out, he don't have no more executive decisions on that channel. But I'm just saying that if an individual has a successful corporation in this country, a successful image, as we see in Uncle Ben and Aunt Your Mama, and the likes that you go in the grocery store and you see just all manner of images of successful people. And that would make America, capitalism would make America, if you don't like the images, you don't have to tell me, just don't buy it. Right. But the food and the ingredients are wonderful. Yep. And so I guess I'm asking Mark, why would someone allow, I guess that pressure, I guess I'm asking my own question.
Yeah.
Pressure.
It is. It's that pressure. And I don't know why they want to kowtow to that.
I guess they own academia. They own it all. The left, when you think about it, they own the government, the academia, they own the media. They can dox you, they can do pretty much what they want.
I guess that's what they're afraid of. Mm-hmm. I don't know, but I think it's sick.
Yeah, me too.
I think it's sick.
But we're going to continue to purchase what we want in America because it's a free country, and we employ anyone that has that logic or that understanding. Don't kowtow, as Mark said. Don't bend to that.
Yeah.
Because if they can lead you in that direction, they can get you in that conduit and channel you and get whatever they think that you deserve and what they want. That's socialism.
Yeah, exactly. Amen. All right. Well, thanks everybody. Hope you keep watching. We're gonna see if we can get a couple more videos in. This last week's been pretty busy for us, so hadn't really had a chance to do anything. But we're gonna see if we can do a few more and get them out there. So thank y'all for watching.
Good evening.